Tal Heinrich, spokesperson for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Tal, always good to have you with us. Thank you very much for joining us today. You know, this is a difficult position for Israel to be in. And clearly these terrorists, they took all these people for a reason, because these releases have forced a stop in the counterattack against Hamas. How hard is it going to be to eradicate Hamas with these extended periods of ceasefire?
It's a very difficult position to be at. We didn't want this, obviously. Hamas wanted this war. Hamas dragged us into this war. We didn't start with this war, and as you know, we didn't even anticipate this war. But we have to complete the mission, which is to bring back all hostages home and eradicate the Hamas regime in Gaza. You see, and I'll quote Thomas Sowell here, the great Thomas Sowell, there are no good solutions, only trade-offs. And this is the trade-off, the outline that we have agreed upon. So hopefully we will see eventually, I'm saying hopefully because the 11 hostages that were released reportedly are not still in Israeli territory at this point, but I hope that this will bring us to a total of 50 hostages as per the deal released over the course of 4 days, in which we in exchange agreed to a humanitarian pause in the fighting. But we hope that this mechanism in place will see more hostages released. We said that for every extra 10 hostages who will be released, we will agree to an extra day of humanitarian pause in the fighting. But you're completely right. It's complicated. You talked about Abigail Edan, a 4-year-old Israeli-American. You watch her smile now when she's reunited with what is left from her family, we should say. We want to be able to tell Abigail that she is safe, that Hamas terrorists will never lay their dirty hands on her again, never kidnap her again, never rain missiles on her community again. But right now, we can't say this completely. Is she really safe as long as Hamas is still in power? No. For that reason, we will continue. We will resume the fighting, and we will bring an end to this terrorist regime.
So you might have seen the images over the weekend of, sort of effigies of wrapped bodies in front of the White House, people holding signs for ceasefire, imploring President Biden to back a more permanent ceasefire in this situation. Obviously, he's under a lot of political pressure. He's losing traction, especially with young voters in America. What do you say to that? What do you think Prime Minister Netanyahu? I know they're in touch all the time. What are these conversations like?
Yes, Jerusalem and Washington are in touch on an hourly basis, and we are very grateful for President Biden, his moral support and the moral global leadership that the people of America, bipartisan support, have been demonstrating. But if it wasn't for the president's input, I don't think that we would have seen these 50 hostages, hopefully 50, as we're speaking, it's underway, being released. And he bettered the conditions of this outline that we have agreed to. So we're very, very thankful for that. And President Biden stated correctly just a few days ago that Hamas only responds to pressure. That's the only thing that works. Only thanks to military pressure and diplomatic pressure that we exerted in various ways, we have seen the release of these hostages. And we will continue with this pressure. How can we talk about a permanent general ceasefire when Hamas leaders openly say that they would perpetrate the October 7th massacre for a second, a third, and a fourth time? Right. What option do we have? We don't.
You know, I'm curious. I think back to, and I'm about to talk to John Kirby, and we talked about this at the time, the release of 5 American prisoners for 5 Iranian prisoners, plus $6 billion into Iran coffers. The deal was criticized as completely out of balance. Do you think that motivated Iran's proxies? They see that, you say, look what we can get, you know? And when they went in there, they took 240 people to hold as hostages and pawns in this horrific game that is going on. Do you think that move by the U.S. government prompted this strategy by Hamas?
Iran, the Iranian regime, I would say, because I don't want to say Iran, I don't want to talk about the Iranian people. The Iranian regime is evil, full stop. Full stop. And we know that they run their axis of evil, Hamas, which is funded 93% by Iran. You have the Palestinian Islamic Jihad that reportedly also are holding Israeli hostages right now. They're fully funded by Iran. We know what the Houthis in Yemen have been doing. We know what Hezbollah is doing. We've had back and forth with Hezbollah when we're telling them, don't try us. Iran is pulling all the strings behind the scenes, and the pressure should be applied to them. International pressure. That's what we want to see.
So I'm being told that the images that we're seeing on the screen, these are just released. Mm-hmm. These are some of the 11 hostages who are right now traveling in the Red Cross custody across the Gaza border into Egypt, and then they will make the trip onto Israeli territory. But the moment that they are in Israeli territory and really out of Gaza territory, these young people, and we have been trying to break this down. So there's 9 people between the ages of 3 and 51. I mean, you're just seeing these little faces who are happy once again. And we pray that they are all in good health. 18 of them are under the age of 30. 2 are under the age of 30, 9 are under the age of 18. So you see some of these children on your screen who all sides have been working so hard to bring to freedom in this highly complicated situation. And more of them, you have to wonder what goes through the mind of these hostages when they see some people leave and others are left behind. A lot of men who are left behind, a lot of fathers, husbands, brothers who are still being held, and Americans among them. No Americans in this group. We are waiting for 8 to 9 Americans to be released. So, Tal, just a final thought before I let you go.
I'll just tell you that Israelis have been glued to their news TV screens in the past days, and right now in these hours, waiting to, watch these heartwarming images, this little tiny momentary sigh of relief amid the agony and suffering that we've been going through as a nation. It's unfathomable. It's a torture of mind and soul, because Hamas terrorists, they know it, that we're a nation that values life to this extent. Unlike them, they openly say that they want to sacrifice the Palestinian civilians of Gaza for their sick goal of obliterating Israel.
Are you worried about the Palestinians who've been released from the prisons in Israel? They've been depicted as young, and that there's, sort of an equivalency, young people being released as hostages, young people being released from prisons.
Sort of, as you say. There's no equivalency here. Of course we're worried. We're releasing terrorists. These are people who were involved in terrorist activity, no matter their gender or age. That's not the point right now. The point is that they have been involved in activities such as an attempted stabbing attack and murder and throwing Molotov cocktails at Israelis. And the way that we're seeing that they're being received by their communities in the West Bank, being celebrated, that's what Israel is dealing with, glorifying martyrs.
Yeah. Tal Heinrich, thank you very much. Always good to see you. Tal, thank you very much for joining us today. We'll see you soon, and we hope that we have more of these stories to tell in the coming days.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.